Good Friday morning, and thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, the voice you know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF and Certain Corn Herbicide. Unleash residual power early to allow for pre- or post-application to attack weeds at their weakest. I'm Dusty Sonnenberg reporting. Well, we're currently at Commodity Classic down in San Antonio, Texas, the final day, and down here temperatures currently at 64 degrees, heading for a high in the mid-80s. Back home on the barn thermometer, though, 29 degrees this morning under clear skies, but looking for a high in the mid-50s. A couple quick calendar reminders. Powered by Soy Biodiesel will be broadcasting once again during midday today from the Commodity Classic at San Antonio, Texas, thanks to our friends at Meristem Crop Performance. And be sure to check in on Tuesday next week as we'll be getting our monthly update from the folks at Farm Credit Mid-America. Let's check in now with Joel Panorwood as he takes a look back at National FFA Week.
Joel Panorwood here for the Ohio AgNet. We're wrapping up National FFA Week. Always a great time here in the late winter, early spring months to think about an organization that's had such an impact on the youth in agriculture, and so many in agriculture today harken back to their time in the blue corduroy jackets. And I'm doing that right now as I'm talking with a good friend of mine, Amy Jo Boffman. She's director of the Ohio FFA Foundation. Amy Jo, thank you so much for being here with us. But a little bit of background, we were in the blue corduroy at a little bit of a different time a few years ago. And I remember going cross stage, getting my state FFA degree. Amy Jo was there. She had a long week that week because she really took that position very seriously and at the helm. But my goodness, it just seems like yesterday, but also it seems like, a moment ago. What do you think, Amy Jo?
I couldn't agree with you more, Joel. And I think some of the reason it feels that way is that, and this really comes into focus on a week like this, National FFA Week, which is, Ohio FFA has been around for a long time. In just a couple of years, we'll celebrate our centennial, our 100-year anniversary. And it's so rewarding to reflect. And I think something that stands out is that while our programs have evolved over time, our mission remains the same: to make a positive difference in the lives of students by developing their potential for premier leadership, personal growth, and career success through agricultural education. And so that commitment to our mission stands strong, and it's such a fun thing to get to celebrate during something like National FFA Week.
All right, quick question here. With the FFA being a growing organization, growing opportunity as a result to give and impact students, why is it growing? In this day and age, why is FFA seeing tremendous growth like we are today?
Well, Joel, I will not pretend to know the exact reason for that, but I'll tell you a little bit of my personal perspective about why we're growing. I think some of that I have to credit to the work that's being done by our local ag educators. They're doing a great job. They're communicating about the importance of the ag industry and recruiting students to their programs. I think it's also because as an industry, we're doing what we can across the board. And Joel, the work that you're doing certainly works toward this, but communicating out the importance of agriculture and the way that it has grown and evolved over time, to where students of all backgrounds can see how they could fit and contribute to a very meaningful industry and profession. And so, students we're seeing an increase in students who might not have that traditional agricultural background are joining our programs. And I think that's because of the work of so many in sharing the importance of the work that we do. And I also think, there's just the reality that our population, and it's been true for a long time, the global population is growing. Agriculture is a global industry, and it's something that I think is being recognized by younger generations as something that's important and a worthwhile endeavor to learn about, at least, and potentially even give your life to professionally. And so I think it's not the result of just one thing. It's the result of this collective work that we're all doing across this industry, and specifically to care for and invest in tomorrow's leaders. And I think we're seeing that grow in the growth that we see in Ohio FFA.
Amy Jo Boffman, Executive Director of the Ohio FFA Foundation. FFA has had an impact on her life in a pretty big way, I'm sure. It's had an impact on mine, and we're here talking about reminiscing as we wrap up National FFA Week. But don't let your support end there. Let it just be a moment to kind of light a fire about how to support the next generation, those in the blue corduroy jackets, during National FFA Week and from here onward. Amy Jo, thank you so much for joining us on the Ohio AgNet.
Thank you so much, Joel.
Let's get a check now on your Friday and through the weekend weather forecast. Today's weather update brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com.
Mild air dominating the landscape for your Friday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at that Ohio Ag weather update. We are pleasant here today. Can we see it last? Absolutely not. Why would we do that? Why would Mother Nature give us that opportunity? Your Friday looks pretty good. We are going to be seeing cold air slowly sag southward out of the Canadian prairies, Hudson Bay, across the Great Lakes tomorrow. I think we see cooler temperatures in the north, holding on to some mild air in the south. We've got cloud cover that increases from that warm air, cold air battle as well, and it leads to a little bit of moisture, I think, overnight, Saturday night into Sunday. A clipper system moving through the Great Lakes throws clouds down here, spits and sprinkles in central to southern Ohio probably Sunday morning. But that's just priming the atmosphere for a bigger system that comes out of the western Corn Belt Central Plains overnight Sunday night through Monday. Anywhere from 1/10 to 3/4 of an inch of liquid equivalent there. Wet snow could fall out of that in northern Ohio, then very wet for the rest of next week. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more after this.
Ohio farmers are excited about the approval of Striax dicamba herbicide for in-crop soybean use. For a limited time, B&B AgVantages in Conover, Ohio, are reopening cash discounts and financing on Asgrow soybeans. This is a fantastic opportunity to return to the proven yield performance of Asgrow soybeans and the strong weed control system of the XtendFlex system. Orders must be placed and paid for by March 13th. Contact B&B AgVantages for details at 937-368-3880.
Let's check in now with Joe Everett as he has an update on the pork industry.
After a challenging few years, Ohio's pork industry is heading into 2026 with renewed optimism. Leaders gathered at the Ohio Pork Congress in Lima say 2025 brought major progress from legislative wins to increased investment in animal health. Cheryl Day with the Ohio Pork Council says one key achievement was securing $10 million to support veterinary workforce development and strengthen the state's response to foreign animal disease. The industry also ramped up consumer outreach, partnering with groups like the Cleveland Browns to promote pork and expanding education efforts about how pigs are raised. Improving profitability has also boosted farmer morale after 2 difficult years, but demand remains top of mind, especially as producers look to compete with high beef prices. Looking ahead, policy changes remain. The National Pork Producers Council continues pushing for a fix to California's Proposition 12, warning a patchwork of state regulations could threaten the industry. Leaders say a new farm bill, expanded trade, and labor reform would be crucial priorities in the year ahead. To learn more, you can find this full article today at ohioagnet.com. For the Ohio AgNet, I'm Joe Everett reporting.
Thanks, Joe. Well, we are out in San Antonio, Texas at Commodity Classic. Ty had a chance to catch up with Bennett Musselman and check in on some of the progress being made by Ohio's delegation.
Leaders from Ohio's corn and soybean organizations said policy conversation remained front and center as farmers gathered at the 2026 Commodity Classic in San Antonio this past week. Bennett Musselman is president of the Ohio Soybean Association, a farmer from Pickaway County.
We had a lot of discussion on biofuels, biomanufacturing. There were several conversations about labor. H2A was an issue that we discussed quite a bit. We also talked about crop insurance, some changes that we would like to see to the federal crop insurance policy that more closely aligns to how we grow soybeans now with earlier plant dates. RMA has changed some of those in the past, but not for every state, so that was a big topic of discussion. And trade, obviously. Trade is always something that we talk quite a bit about, and we had several topics of how we can try to improve our trade policy.
The Ohio Corn and Wheat Growers Association President Eric Tipton said the lack of progress on year-round E15 legislation continues to weigh on farmers, so much so that rhetoric was heightened during Corn Congress here in San Antonio.
There was a resounding response in the room of it's time to call them and tell them we're not pleased. The first diversion to put this to a task force was one slap in the face, and frankly, this is the second. And Jed Bauer's words were somewhere along the lines of we've had enough.
You can read more and see more of our coverage from Commodity Classic here in Texas online now at ohioagnet.com. I'm Ty Higgins reporting.
Thanks, Ty. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more after this.
Looking for heavy equipment but don't know where to buy? Purple Wave Auction has you covered. Always online and always no reserve. It's your destination for construction or ag equipment ready to work. We even sell semis, trailers, and fleet equipment for your operation. Best part? It's free to join. Head to purplewave.com. That's purplewave.com. Sign up for a free account and start bidding today. Purple Wave Auction, the easiest and most straightforward way to buy and sell equipment.
If we're being honest with ourselves, they gave those deadlines. We've all seen the lack of work Congress gets done in a timely manner. We know those deadlines were probably a little too quick, but we're still working. We're in communication at least daily, sometimes more than that. We're hearing the next couple weeks. Our side is holding firm. The corn side, we've drawn the line in the sand. Those numbers don't seem to be moving. Everybody's respecting them. The oil industry are working amongst themselves on their side. So a lot of positive things, but highly frustrating when we're in the economic situation we're in now. We need E15 now. We need trade. We need demand for all of us. It's truly sad out there and getting desperate.
Those are the comments of Ohio's Jed Bauer, currently serving as National Corn Growers Association president, in reference to what's happening or not happening when it comes to year-round E15 with Congress. Now, Jed made those comments during a general session yesterday at Commodity Classic. Also speaking during the general session was current American Soybean Association president and Ohio farmer Scott Metzger. Scott addressed the need for RVOs, or the renewable volume obligations.
You know, it's one of our top priorities this year. It's going to be a key component to get the RVOs when they come out, to see. Hopefully they're where they have anticipated them to be at, and that'll really help us, with the trade issues and stuff we've had in getting domestic production coming in. So we're really looking forward to that opportunity to get those.
Now, rounding out the general session was United States Department of Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins, as she talked about a modern digital pathway initiative known as One Farm, One File. The goal of the program is to reduce the administrative burden for farmers and make the program delivery more effective and save time for USDA staff. Rollins also talked about the need for a farm bill and the importance of Congress passing E15 year-round. Well, it's time now to take a look at your markets. Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to bring a brand new soybean crush facility to Upper Sandusky, Ohio. Learn more about marketing your soybeans with LDC at 574-566-2113.
A wild ride in the marketplace yesterday as we move into the last day of the week. Now the question is, now what? Yesterday, the market started strong, almost seeing new highs in all sections of soybeans, based on news that the RVO data was getting to the White House. And a mole inside EPA and inside the White House suggested that it's going to be an SRE reallocation of at least 50%. Marcus was excited. The RIN market took off. Beans were up. Everybody was happy. And then the next headline, right about mid to late morning headline, comes out that Trump and Xi may or may not be able to talk. China's getting nervous. The preparations for the summit are faltering due to Chinese concerns. Market drops 20 cents on beans. Everything goes down, but then we get back to unchanged. Tell you what'll Friday bring? Hold on, we'll find out. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. Let's take a look at how your markets closed yesterday. Today's market recap brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Well, May corn closed up 1.5 pennies, and July corn was up 1 cent. May soybeans closed down 1.5 pennies, while July beans were down 1.25 pennies, and May Kansas City wheat closed the day down 2 cents, while May Chicago wheat was up 4 3/4, and May Minneapolis wheat was up 1 3/4. Now, as we take a look at the overnight trade, March corn is up 3/4 penny at $4.34, but May corn is unchanged at $4.43.5, and July corn unchanged at $4.51 1/4. March soybeans are trading 1/4 cent higher at $11.48. May beans up a full penny at $11.64.5, and July beans trading a penny higher at $11.77 1/4 cent. Wheat for July trading up 3 cents at $5.85, and wheat for September of 26 up 2.5 cents at $5.95 and 3/4 cents. Turning to livestock, red numbers as we found April live cattle down $3.37.5, April lean hogs down 47.5, and feeder cattle for April down $5.27.5. This is the Ohio AgNet.